Welcome back, everybody, to Real Talk Realty Podcast, where we put the real in real estate. I'm your host for the day, Louis Namick, and I'm with
JD Crisp
and Gabby Robinson.
We're back.
And we have so much to talk about. It's been a little bit. And that's kind of attributed to the fact. Oh my gosh. That is kind of attributed to the fact that we've just been so busy.
The market has definitely shifted, and like you just said, I feel like a hamster in a rolling cage.
I'm telling you, man. I'm running around doing the show.
We tried to start this like 25 minutes ago, but then he got a call. I was dealing with something, and we all were just like.
But I did get a call, and you guys are going to hear it first. My clients don't even know it, but we're going to be selling their house. We're ratifying a contract today that they don't even know it exists, so you were the first one to know. So, but we are very excited to be back with you guys and to discuss what we are seeing in the market and what our clients are seeing in the market. And we're going to come from a place of kind of talking about exactly what's working, what's not working, what we're seeing on the listing side, things that you can take away from this and determine, okay, can I get in the mix here? Is there a place for me to fit in? Can I compete? And I truly believe that everybody can compete if we are looking for the right things.
Well, the timing is right for getting deals done and making a deal or saving some money.
Yep.
When you're purchasing a house.
Absolutely.
Like last week, the interest rates went down a notch, right? And we're anticipating the interest rates are going to go down even further. Yep. So be aware that if you're in the market for a home, you've got to act, because those interest rates are definitely going to be coming down to the point where everybody and their mother is going to enter the market.
Yep. And right now, they seem, where are they sitting at right now? It's conventional was what, like
6.5, I believe.
Yeah, 6.5. Okay, so we're pretty much where we were a couple months ago. And that's partly due to the war and what's going on, the conflict that we have. And anytime that there's a conflict in a country, numbers are going to get messed up. Inflation's probably going to increase. We're going to have to start printing some money. So there's going to be a little of an adjustment period. But this is certainly a time that if you are thinking about buying, that there is some opportunities to take advantage of. And what I mean by that is there is a whole heck of a lot more listings on the market right now than there was this time 3 years ago.
Yeah. And sellers are motivated to sell.
And so with that being said, it really just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking to get the best deal possible, what does that strategy look like? If you're looking to get the best or the most amount of money for your listing possible, what does that look like for you? So we'll start by talking about if you're a buyer, which many of you are looking for a good deal. We want to talk a little bit about strategies and what you might do to find that deal.
Yeah, and keep in mind that this window is not going to be open very long.
Because the moment that these interest rates come back down, or if they get closer to that high fives, which they were just a few weeks ago, if that happens again, we got the new Fed chair coming in May 15th. Kevin Warsh, right?
Right.
And so when he comes in, we already know that he's going to be the opposite of the current
Jerome Powell.
He's going to be the opposite of that. And let's face it, like him or hate him, Donald Trump is going to put somebody in there who's going to do what he wants him to do, and that's going to be lower the rates. So
not only that, this war that we're in right now, it's winding down.
It is.
It's winding down. I think it's not going to last much longer.
Yeah. If you're looking for a deal, let's talk about what do you guys do? Let's say you have a client, right, Gabby, and she says to you, or he or she says to you, hey, I have some money saved up, right? Let's say I have about $7 or $8 grand saved up, and I'm looking for homes that are modestly priced, a first-time home buyer type home, something in maybe the 300s or even a little less. What would be your advice to them to make the most out of that little bit of money that they've saved up in order to buy a home? How are you going to direct them into finding a deal that's appropriate for them?
Yeah, well, so the first thing is looking and see if you qualify for any of the first-time home buyer programs, right? We work with a lot of lenders who have amazing programs to help you purchase with little to no money out of pocket, right, depending on what you qualify for. Besides that, we would also look at properties that maybe have been sitting a little bit, right? And
not a long time.
Yeah.
We're not talking about showing you properties that have been
70
sitting for
70 days or 80 days. There are some that after like 2 or 3 weeks, if they don't have any offers, that
they get nervous.
You could definitely go in and request some seller help, right, for them to pay some of your closing costs. And then if you're the only offer after 2 or 3 weeks, if they're motivated, if they have already purchased another house, chances are they're going to accept your offer, right? So it's not necessarily having to look for a property, like he said, that's been on the market 5 or 6 months and needs all this work. You could still get a very nice property and it just still be sitting on the market.
There are listings out there right now that those sellers are offering 5,000-10,000 concessions in order to.
And they're nice houses. They just. There just hasn't been a buyer interested in that.
And sometimes what'll happen is this, and this can work to your benefit. So if you see a property, right, and let's say you're pre-approved up to say 300,000, right, but you see a property that's listed at 330, and you're like, wow, I love this property. It's everything that I want, but it's 30,000 more than I'm allowed to do. Well, if it's been sitting on the market, the price could be the reason on why it's still sitting. There are still agents out there that are not pricing, and sellers alike, that are pricing homes not appropriately, and that could be your advantage. That could be your opportunity to make an offer for a little bit less. And you know what? Sometimes a seller will get so many low balls that you just might be the low ball that came in that was the tipping point.
Not such a low ball, right?
Yeah. Not necessarily like a low ball. I'm not saying come in, $50,000, $60,000.
$100,000 under.
Not saying something like that, but I'm saying like if you're a seller, right, and let's say your house is listed at $330,000, but you've gotten 2 offers for $300,000, you've turned them down, 2 weeks goes by, you have no showings, you get another offer for $300,000. That might be the one that's telling you, like, hey, this maybe I'm overpriced.
That's so true, because I had a client looking for a house, and we finally found him one. We offered $10,000 under asking and asked for $5,000 seller help, and they took it. They took it.
Yep.
And I think we should also look back when rates were dropping, like in February, right? Maybe I think like late February or early March. We were getting multiple offers on stuff, like it was popping, right? And then we saw a little bit of a slowdown once the interest rates started going back up with the war and stuff. So that just goes to show you that once this war stops and the rates go down, it's going to be like that all over again.
You lost the deal a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
16 offers were in hand, and they took one that was $50,000 over the asking price.
And we went $30K over asking. We were closing in 2 weeks. Like, you put $100K down. It was crazy. Like, the fact that we lost that, I mean, it just goes to show, people were out. People were out looking.
And they're going to come back out soon.
Yeah.
And I also lost an offer in Newmarket 2 weeks ago. It was a beautiful home. It was wonderfully priced. They did a good job because there was enough traffic in there that they ended up getting 9 offers. I was one of 9, and my offer was $50,000 above list. And we did a $10,000 appraisal gap coverage. And we had a huge deposit. We also did no inspection. So we waived our inspection. We said we'd pay $10,000 above appraised value, and we went $50,000 above list, and we still lost. We were second place.
Wow.
So
that's
just
crazy.
That is nuts.
Yeah, so that just shows you kind of what's going on. And it's not, what's unique about this versus 4 years ago is it's not every house. See, 4 years ago, you could not know anything about selling real estate almost, and you could put your house on the market and it's gone.
Yeah.
Now,
it's certain houses.
Because the inventory is actually up from 4 years ago, it's a little bit, it's like case-by-case basis.
Correct.
So there's a lot of properties that, when we pull up our MLS and we look at the map of Frederick County 4 years ago, there'd be like a couple green boxes, and we were all fighting over the houses. When I say green boxes, that's how they show up on the map, but we'd be fighting over those little bit of houses. Now there's not a ton, but there's definitely maybe 3 to 4 times more inventory than there was then. And so we're looking at it, and you really got to stand out if you're a seller.
Yeah. Also, that brings up a good point. The condition of the house dictates whether or not you're going to be leaving money on the table or if that's going to sit. So
exactly.
all these sellers that are doing what we're advising them to do and get their house ready for market are the smart ones.
Yep. And really, just those inexpensive things to create some curb appeal and to make your house stand out can be the difference maker between $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 when you're actually getting on the market.
Right? Yeah. Do a little landscaping. Touch up your walls. Clean your carpets. Do something to bring your house up to market level.
And now where it's official, I mean, we are in spring. The flowers are blooming. The grass is green. It's nice weather. This is the optimal time to have your property listed. And we all do actually have quite a few sellers that are getting ready to prep. I mean, Gabby, you were just mentioning, how many listings do you have that are going to be coming up here in the next foreseeable future?
I'm counting.
That's a good problem to have.
Okay, so I have a New Market one hitting the market tomorrow. Hagerstown one probably hitting in the next week. Virginia one probably hitting in 2 weeks. Boonesboro one. Bowie one. Maybe like 6 or 7.
That's awesome. Yeah. That is tremendous. What about you, Louie?
I got 3 listings. I got 2 people under contract, and I have about 3 couples out there looking.
That is awesome.
I think we all have a bunch of people looking too. Yeah. I think as more inventory starts hitting the market, like we're all going to be super, super busy.
Yep. So, and also here's another thing. So back to what we were talking about with trying to find the right deal. There is also, we talked about this pretty early on when we started filming the podcast, but we haven't talked about it in a while. And it's something that a lot of people don't know exists, but there is rehabilitation loans.
Mm-hmm. There are.
And that is a fantastic option for somebody who has a vision. If you're a person who can look at a property that maybe just needs some TLC or some cosmetic upgrades, you can look at it. If you're the type of person that has that vision, you can get a rehabilitation loan. And essentially what that's going to entail is you go to the property, right? And you see it, you love it, you think you can remodel the kitchen, maybe a bathroom here or there. Well, then you're going to get with your lender. You're going to talk to them about doing a rehabilitation loan, which all of our lenders have access to programs like that. And you would then get with a contractor. They would come out to the property. They would give you an amount for whatever upgrades you wanted to make. Let's say it was a kitchen or 2 bathrooms or something like that. You would get, or even if it's just all new paint, really you can do anything in a rehabilitation loan. If there needs to be a new HVAC, you can do a rehabilitation loan. And so you'll have the contractor go out there. They'll gather the total cost for said repairs. And then you're going to get with your lender, and what they're going to try to determine is it worth it to make these upgrades to that property? Will it increase the value? And if that does make sense, they will then allot you in a certain amount of money that will be rolled into your loan to pay for these repairs. So you'll have one closing, and then when you move into the property, you're going to have it the way that you want it. And that is a thing that a lot of people don't even know is an option.
And you simultaneously increase the value of the property.
Yeah.
Immediately.
And then on the verse side of that, the sellers, if you're trying to sell your house and you don't have the money in order to get it up to market level, there are certain companies out there that will come out, give you an estimate on what the house needs done in order to get it ready for market.
Yep.
And you don't pay anything out of pocket up front. It's in the closing costs at the end of the closing.
Yep.
So there are ways to get your property ready and not leave any money on the table.
Absolutely.
But also going back to that point, you know how we talked about there are some properties that are just sitting, and then there are others that are going super fast above ask. I think also the prep matters for those too, right? How you price it and everything. So if you are doing your due diligence and looking at, like, you know, trying to make your house look as perfect as possible. Rob told us about one that was like, the inspection came back with, and he said no repairs needed.
No repairs, which, listen, I don't want anybody here thinking watching this podcast that is a normal thing.
It's not normal.
I never have heard of a home inspector not finding anything. So,
until today.
Until today. That was the first time I've ever heard such buffoonery.
Yeah. So, but like the point is, like, there are things that you can do to be on this side of the map, right, where the sellers are getting multiple offers above ask and people are fighting for your house. But if you do minimum work or no work and you just throw it on the listing, we're not in COVID times anymore. So you might sit a little bit and have to give somebody something to be able to.
You having problems over there, JD?
I'm having an issue here.
You're going the wrong way, JD.
Am I?
You're going the wrong way,
Are
JD.
you sure?
Yes,
Oh,
JD.
gosh,
You're going the wrong way.
It.
Also, I want to touch upon one thing.
Yeah.
You know, there are realtors out there that will tell you everything you want to hear, and especially about the price.
Oh,
they'll
gosh.
sell you your listing, and they won't take the time to give you the the right advice on how to really price your house correctly for the market.
Yeah.
And there are listings out there, there are sitting out there multiple, not only because of condition, but because they're overpriced because they took the wrong advice.
Yep.
So here's one, right? I got a seller lead a couple days ago, and we did a CMA on his house. So he told me up front, he was like, I don't want to waste your time. He was like, I've had 4 agents and I fired all of them. He was like, my house is not selling. And so immediately I'm thinking while he's talking, like he's owned this house for like 60-something years. Like he's
60
old.
some?
Yes, he's old, right? He's in, I think he said he was like in
Older.
his 80s. Yeah.
Dang.
And so he's had this house. So he wants all the money in the world for it, right? And after talking to him, I already knew the problem was probably the price. So I had Rob look at it with me, and his house was definitely overpriced. I sent him an email, and I pretty much tell him, just like you said, Louie, I said, I'm so sorry, but it seems like these other agents that you worked with didn't tell you the truth. They were just trying to buy the listing, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, this is unfortunately, I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to sell your house for what they listed it for because it's not going to sell. That's why you've been trying to sell it for 2 years. I was like, your property is this much. And he responded and said, thanks, but no thanks. So it's like, there are people that, like you said, they hire agents who just want to buy the listing and they
Let me ask you
overprice
this,
it,
right?
and it never sells.
Right.
You got a back problem, right? Your back hurts. Okay, you go to the doctor. You want the doctor to just tell you what you want to hear?
Yeah.
You want him to just tell you, man, just put some ice on it. That's all you got to do. Just put some ice on it. That's not good advice.
Yeah.
Or do you want a doctor who's going to give you the uncomfortable news, the real diagnosis, tell you that you have some slip discs, tell you what is going to be entailed to correct this problem? I want to go to the guy that's going to help me correct the problem.
Yeah.
I don't want to be feeling warm and fuzzy because you told me nice things.
Or
And-
walk,
then I never
or
feel better.
walk in there and say, no thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and there's people out there. So, sometimes what we have to say, we're not saying it because we're trying to hurt your feelings. We're telling you the real facts. And that's at least how we operate as a team. That's not the case across the board, unfortunately. And so and you almost know this whenever you talk to an agent or some seller and they say, okay, my house hasn't sold. And you ask them, okay, well, let me ask you this. How did you come up with the price? Oh, well, so-and-so's house sold across the street. And they end up telling you, well, I told my agent where I wanted to price it, and they just obliged. They just listened. And really, that's not how you do it. Because what ends up happening is you buy the listing. Buy the listing means you basically listen to the seller completely, whatever the number they tell you, you put it on the market. And then you have to find yourself giving these really uncomfortable price reduction conversations down the road. I'd rather skip all of that. I'd rather completely skip that, tell you exactly where it needs to be. And one thing that we talked about recently in one of our meetings was when we're looking at comps for your property as a seller, we're not just looking at specifically where it closed, right? We want to see what worked and what didn't. And what that means is I want to see if so-and-so on 123 Street sold their house for $550, and that's what you want for your property, where did they price it at? And if they priced it at $525, then that is clear as day that is the winning solution, somewhere in that range to get that boost up several offers and get the number that you're looking for.
Right. You can't price it too high and you can't price it too low. You have to have that sweet spot where you're going to get multiple people coming in and getting a multiple offer situation.
And it's a numbers game.
It is.
It is a numbers game, and that is the simplest way to put it. And the best part about the market is it will not lie to you.
Yep. The house will sell for what the market predicts.
And you will be able to look at your showing data, right? So we go on the market. One thing that happens is, if you don't know as a potential seller, is that after every showing from a licensed agent, the agent that showed the property will then receive a survey that will give them an opportunity to talk about their experience at the property through the eyes of their buyer.
Right.
And it'll ask them a series of questions. One, the first question is, what were their thought on their price? How would they rate their experience on a scale of 1 to 10? Is there additional notes? There's something that they caught their eye that they can leave in there.
Are they interested?
Or are they interested? These are all super, super good tools to use to pay attention to as a seller to make any necessary adjustments that you need to make. But the point is, if you get 9, 10, 11 people through the door and you have no offers, that is the market telling you to make an adjustment.
Yeah.
If you have gone active and you've gone a week on the market and you haven't had any showings, chances are you're not just a little overpriced, you might be majorly overpriced. Because there's no reason, I don't think, unless the house is absolutely dilapidated or falling apart, that you shouldn't get somebody through the door in the first week.
Correct. And keep in mind, one of the most important things when you list a house, right, is the first 2 weeks.
Your launch.
That's your launch.
The launch is make or break. You know, I'm glad you brought this up. There was a listing recently that came on the market. I'm not going to say who the agent was, but there was a market that listing that came up. My client really wanted to see it. He had very limited time. We were only going to be out that day. And for the 2 weeks leading up to this day that I was taking the client out, this house was marked as going active on this day. It had everything to do with why we picked that day to go see it. So 3 days go, 3 days before I go to book my showing, and it's not letting me do it through the Showing Time app. So I go, oh, okay, well, maybe it's just not letting appointments come through until it's actually active. So the day comes, I wake up, first thing in the morning, I go to book the showing, and it says it's active, but I'm still not allowed to book a showing.
Don't you hate that?
It gets worse. I then call the agent and I say, hey, look, I'm here in the area today showing my client several homes. This one was one of the major ones that he wanted to see, and it's active, and I can't book a showing. And she said, oh, I know. I don't know why it went active today. It's not supposed to go active for another 2 weeks. And I go, what? Like that, if I'm the seller and I have my home, because listen, this is how a launch can really make or break your listing. Yeah. When I called and told her that I needed to see it that day, she said, oh, I don't know what happened. I don't know why it went active today. There's another guy that's trying to see it too. Let me just call my seller and see if he'll let you guys come today. Well, she called me back. Well, actually, I had to pester her, but then she finally called me back and said, no, he just needs another 2 weeks. Well, guess what ends up happening? 3 days later go by, and I see that the whole thing's been removed. I'm wondering if the guy straight up fired her. You know what I'm saying? Because you have one opportunity to enter the market. You have one opportunity to get all the photos that you want organized.
Everything right.
Everything's got to be right. And the timing of it all. And if there's one little glitch, or let's say you're supposed to be advertising an open house, and for some reason it's not being advertised, and there's all these things that could be happening.
Well, that agent pressed the wrong date on the MLS listing, and that's what she did.
And
she doesn't know why. She made a mistake. But the whole thing's gone now. It was removed from the MLS. He's probably going to wait 60 days and redo it.
And redo
with another agent.
With another agent, yeah. So that brings me to our final point, is that this is an excellent time. If you're a seller, the grass is green, the trees are looking good, get the lawn cut, do some landscaping, do some things to increase your curb appeal. Doesn't have to be expensive. Could be new mulch in the front flower beds. But this is the time.
Hire the right agent. Hire the right agent and then listen to the agent's advice.
The first time,
and get it done right.
There's 3 right agents on this podcast, okay? Just letting you know.
Yep.
But, and if you're a buyer, right now is an excellent time to tune in. Pay attention. If you're not quite ready right now, what you need to be doing is have a search set up by your agent, one of us, and have it tailored specifically to what your criteria is, and start paying attention. If you like a property, but you're not quite ready and it does go under contract, see what it went for. See what it ends up closing for. Get an idea on how to play the game. All the information is there at your fingertips. Just pay attention and see. So that way when you are ready, you know how to put your best foot forward and make a good offer that's going to win you the house.
And paying attention also involves on talking to your agent. Call him, message him, and ask him the right questions.
Exactly.
That way you know what the market's doing.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Agreed. But we really greatly appreciate you guys tuning back in today, and we are going to be pushing a lot more content with a lot more excitement, and we are very excited to share the updates in the market and what's going on here locally and sometimes even nationally. So thanks for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have an amazing week.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.